This is Bold TV. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bold TV, a program on disability and its related issues. Program by women with disabilities, for women with disabilities and the wider society. We have very amazing topics and great guests and co-hosts to help us to dig deep into the topic. And today is no exception. We have such a day. But before I introduce the topic, I just want to let you know that we are in your social media space. On YouTube, you can find us at www.youtube.com/boldtv_boldhearts. All we are asking you to do is subscribe, hit the subscription button, the notification button, so that when we have new episodes, you are alerted. And you can also check out past episodes on our YouTube channel. You can also do the same by following us on our YouTube page, and that is www.facebook.com/boldheartsnetwork. There we have also our past episodes, and we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the different things shared? You may also have an experience, you may have a feedback, you may have a comment. Feel free to drop them in those spaces, the comment section in our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page. If you want to reach us through our email, you can do that by writing to us on boldheartsnetwork.info@gmail.com, and we will reply you. You can also just choose to reach out to us through our inboxes on our Facebook page. We will respond to you. I want to quickly thank everyone who has partnered with us and who has written to us to give us great feedback. They help us to make the program better. They also give us the fuel and the boost we need to stay on this. We've been on this since 2020. So, and we have been able to continue. So today I have ladies with me, special ladies, and we're going to be looking at the topic courage. Courage. Somebody like, and like, But we're going to be looking at the topic courage. And before we do that, we're going to have our guests. We have a guest in the house, and then my co-hosts are here. So we're going to have them introduce themselves, and then we'll start the program.
All right, good morning, ladies. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm Osaki Teresa Georgie. I reside in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Work with Fair Care Foundation, member of Bold Heart Initiative, Polio Warrior. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's good to be here once again. My name is Constance Onyemechi. I'm a woman with albinism. I am the founder and chief executive officer of Women and Girls with Albinism Network, a member of Bold Heart Network, and I reside in the FCT. Thank you.
Amazing. And then we have our guest, Esther. It's our first time on Bold TV, and if we had bells, we'll ring them, but we'll do the sign language clap. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself, unmute yourself.
All right, good morning, our listener. Good morning, the host, my co-host. My name remains Nwogo Ogetika Esther. I am a polio survivor. I am a Nigerian powerlifter. And presently, I live in Abia. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Esther. Indeed, a powerlifter. We'll find out if I'm in your weight category and if you can lift me. Just joking. But Esther is she's a medal wearer. She's won medals in different competitions, and it's a pleasure to have you on Bold TV. So our focus of conversation is courage. And to kick off, we're going to just jump into the conversation. And I would like to ask Constance, when you hear the word courage, what comes to mind? What is courage?
So I'm not going to give, thank you very much, Feki. I'm not going to give a dictionary definition of courage, but instead I will say it the way I understand it. and how I relate to it. So courage to me is not the absence of fear, but the ability to face your fears and overcome them. That is what courage means to me. Thank you.
That's an awesome definition. And really, I do not expect anybody to give me a dictionary definition because we may as well Google it. So it's good to see why you speak to courage as not being the absence of fear. And that's a very important dimension to courage, because some persons actually do think that for you to take on courage, you need to deal with fear first. But that's not the case. For courage, it means that in spite of the fear, you move ahead, you face it, and you walk towards achieving what your mind sets to. Osaki, when you hear the word courage, what comes to your mind?
Thank you very much. When I hear the word courage, what comes to my mind is strength. Strength to win, strength to conquer, strength to get it all done. Thank you.
All right. So that construction worker at the backyard, tell him that he should, help us. All right. So Osaki has added a dimension. She said it is strength too. Because at the end of the day, when you take on courage, you actually need a lot of strength to be able to face what it is that you need to face. So she has said strength to do. You would know definitions of courage. Nobody's about that. The definitions so far have spoken to actions, workable actions, where Constance talked about facing a fear, and then Osaki talked about strength to do. So Esther, I would like you to add your voice to this conversation, unmute yourself and tell us what is courage.
To me, courage is bravery. It is a virtue that arises. It is a virtue that comes up, that propels when challenges arise. Bravery. For me, courage means bravery.
Wow. You people can write a book on courage, the way I see it. So Esther has added her own dimension to it when she said it is bravery. When you are courageous, you are brave. It means that you're able to rise above the challenge. And I really need somebody to keep hearing that it has nothing to do with the presence of a challenge or a fear, but has everything to do with you being able to rise above, to push and advance in spite of that fear or challenge. And that is what courage is. And if anybody knows in our disability journey, one of the virtues, as Esther had called it, that we need to be able to do anything is courage. And so this brings me to the next question, which is, why would a woman with disability need courage? Why is courage important for not just a person with disability, but a woman with disability? Why is courage a thing that we insist that a woman with disability should have or crave for or seek for or get? Constance, go ahead, please.
Okay, so as a woman with a disability, we always tell women with disabilities to have courage, because courage helps you in making firm decisions when it comes to issues that relate to your life. You don't live your life at the decision-making table of others for others to decide for you because you're a person with disability. So we tell women with disability, you need to have the courage, you need to be courageous enough to make firm decisions. Now, having the courage also empowers you to do more, to not see yourself as a charity case, but see yourself as someone who can actually contribute to the growth and development of your immediate environment and to the society at large. Thank you.
Those are really great points, because as a woman with disability, the fact that our gender is seen sometimes as the weaker And then the fact that disability makes people to perceive persons with disabilities as second-class citizens combines together to make a lot of women with disabilities lose their voices. Decision power, that power to make decisions is also taken. So courage is, like Constance has said, is true, is one thing that we need a lot in that decision-making process, because everybody, the reality of this is this, as a person with disability on its own, everybody has an opinion on what they think your life should be like. And then as a woman, the society has an opinion of what, they feel, those social norms that are attached to gender, the gender space. So these come together to really take the power that women with disabilities have in making decisions as it affects their lives. And I really like the last aspect where you spoke to the fact that it gives you courage to understand that you are not a charity case, a liability, and at the mercy of everyone, that you too have a lot to give back to society. The value that you bring to any space is credible, and you should own it and be joyful and own it without any apology. So, Osaki, why do you think women with disabilities need courage? What is your take? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my brother will always be noisy because they're working something around my area. Women with disability, courage is a key point. Courage brings out the champion in us. Most times we describe ourselves as warriors, as champions, as name it. It's courage. Once you have that courage, you'll be able to take a bold step. Like for some of us that had it from childhood, every day, every step, every day that passes is one step at a time. Then those that had it maybe middle of their life, for them to be able to cope is a coping strategy. If you don't have courage, coping is a very big deal. But once you have courage, you'll be able to cope and see other strategies on how you can be able to cope with disability and move on to the next step in life. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Osaki. You've also added really valuable points. You talked about the fact that as a woman with disability, courage is a key factor to you thriving. There's the difference between just surviving and thriving. Because if you're just surviving, it looks like you're just managing. But thriving is a rising above. In fact, it tells the world that in spite of this, here I am. So you champion your disability, you champion other aspects of you. You do not allow this disability to define your entirety, but rather you allow purpose to define who you are. And then the other key aspect that you added to the conversation is that courage is a coping strategy. This is a very powerful thing. You need courage. Every day, I tell somebody that, they're like, oh, how do you do? I say, every day is new and every day takes courage. When people accost me and they say, oh, you don't have faith, I'm like, trust me. Me coming out every day, me showing up is a lot of faith and a lot of courage. So if you do not know my journey, if you do not know my struggle, trust me, don't conclude on it. So Esther, why do you think women with disabilities need courage? Let's go ahead.
For me, I will define disability as a battle. So whoever that is going to battle should go with arms. So as a woman with disability, courage is your arm to battle. And without courage, you can never win the battle. Without courage, you will end up being a pity party. You will end up with low self-esteem, like my sister earlier said. So you don't need self-esteem to set in. So for you not to need it to set in, you need courage. Thank you.
So what Esther is speaking to is the fact that courage gives you the self-esteem to be able to win the battle that is disability. I like how she said that disability is a battle. It is a battle of wills. The will of the people, the will of protective exclusion, so many things. But if you need to do things, and honestly, I've seen a lot of people who have needed to take on courage to go against persons who had opinions about their situation. Protective exclusion comes from a place of love, but it can be limiting, and it takes a lot of courage to be able to speak up for what it is that you want to do. So we have spoken, people have added to why they think for women with disabilities, courage is important. And for me, I would like to add that courage is one thing that gives you back your voice. At any stage where power imbalances have happened, maybe through an experience added to the disability, whether it's a sexual violence or anything that may have happened to you, disability-based violence that has taken your voice, one of the things that can give you back your voice is courage. One of the things that can put you back into your story where you live your life is courage. A lot of times people are afraid and they allow the fear of evidence that appear real, even though some may be false evidence appear real, to stop them from advancing. And speaking to this, we would hear some stories now from my ladies where they had to take on courage to achieve something. And we have many stories where courage had to really step in for us to do a lot. I'd like to start with Osaki, who's going to share her courage story. That is what we have defined these stories. We call them courage stories. If you have not listened or heard anything since we started, I want you to please open your ears and hear these stories as my ladies share briefly. So Osaki, go ahead and share your courage story.
Thank you very much. I will say it in 3 phases, very brief. The first one is I had polio at a very tender age, as in months. So before I learned how to do every other thing was at age 5. Sorry, the noise in my background. At age 5, I had to learn how to crawl again. From crawling, I had to learn how to walk with the crutches. So the courage to even move my leg from one step to another, a baby start walking again. That's a very big one to start using the crutches. And that was a different crutches. Then at age, I think 15, 13, I had to change my crutches that I was using, because what I had for was not modernized, but I got this other type. So I had to struggle to learn how to use this recent one I use now. That was the first stage of my courage spirit. And the next one is university. I hope to go to the federal university as every other person. Those days it was not fun in UST. UST was, it was really, really tough. But with courage, I picked up myself and said, no, I must be a graduate. And I went to school. And the last one is driving. Driving was another experience that I need courage to learn how to drive. Like, can you drive? Because I have a small statue. So they're like, we didn't even see your head from the steering. So imagine all of that. And I said, no, because I enjoy when I see ladies drive. And I said, okay, now I must drive. So with the wind, with the truck drivers, with the reckless driver, boss, and everyone, I said, no, I must drive. I pick up courage as a woman with disability. And today, I can drive kilometers as miles as I want. Thank you.
Don't mind Osaki. You see Osaki driving, she's like one small snail inside the car, within chukup. And then the road she uses all the time, there's always a trailer on the left and on the right. And I'm like, oh my God, let them not crush you. But great stories of courage. And in that, your story, you shared how you needed to take on courage to come up from a disability. Learning early intervention really helped. I can say that, even though it looked like it was late, but it was early enough to get you to moving. There's something you spoke to which has to do with when you want to change assistive devices. I've noticed that a lot of persons with disabilities don't have a lot of courage when they need to change something that they are used to go to a better one. So you see somebody who probably is used to using the flat, those things that they roll on the ground, and you give the person a wheelchair, and just because the person is used to that, the person doesn't have the courage to want to use the chair. Now, while we understand that, especially if a health advisor advises a change, you may need to take up courage to adapt to that new thing. And that's the other thing you shared. The other one is with respect to taking your education further. I won't have that kind of story. I'll share later. It's, I've told persons with disabilities that they will not create another world for persons with disabilities. All of us, we are inside this earth. And so you have to show up on your own terms to begin to get people to do right by persons with disabilities. If you sit down and wait for the thing to be be inclusive, or wait for the thing to be accessible, or you keep waiting for them to call only persons with disabilities. In the world we live in, you may wait for a while. So a great courage story shared there. So I'd like to move on to Constance to please share her courage story.
So I think my own story about courage is started from when I had to accept my to that realization in my teenage years, when I grew up and found that, okay, yes, you are different, and so there's nothing you can do about it. So it's time you begin to love yourself for who you are, because if you don't love yourself, you can't attract others to love you. So it took me a while to accept that and begin to, mingle with people and begin to speak up for myself. It took a lot of courage for me to begin to speak up against bullying, against name calling in school. So when I started doing all that, I saw that people stopped, it reduced. It's made me bolder to say, okay, yes, if I accept myself, people will accept me as long as I accept myself. So it took a lot of time for me to accept myself from my teenage years to my adulthood. It's not easy. I'm not going to tell you it's been easy. It has not been easy. And then it has taken me a lot of courage to be able to speak up, not just for myself, but for other persons with disabilities, for other persons with albinism. And lastly, it took me a lot of courage to, venture out to start up an organization that speaks to, tries to address the needs of persons with albinism, because, I had that cooking for some time and I was afraid. Oh, Constance, if you start this, how are you going to get support? Who is going to support you? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? But then I decided that if I don't start, I will not have answers to these questions. So it took a lot of time, planning, and also courage played a key role for me to be who I am and where I am today. Thank you.
Wow, amazing story sharing. I like what you talked about courage and acceptance. It takes a lot of courage to be able to accept what is without feeling bad about what is. It takes a lot of courage to be able to get to that place where you begin to accept, and not just accept, but love yourself for what is, understanding that God has different types of children and you are one of them. It takes a lot of courage. And I'm really praying that somebody's hearing this to understand that how you are presented currently is enough. Who you are currently is enough, and that you can accept yourself. It takes a lot of courage. And Constance also spoke to the fact that in even speaking up for other people. So one thing was loving herself, accepting herself, speaking up for herself against the bullies. Yes, does it surprise you? People that bully based on disability, yes. Speaking against bullying in the disability world, this is a real thing. And then speaking up for others took a lot of courage. And finally, where she currently is with respect to women with albinism, women and girls with albinism network, starting that association, starting that network took a lot of courage. Really, anything I want to start, whether it's business or NGO, hey, courage, my people, courage. So thank you for taking on courage, because what it does is that you begin to see the fruits, maybe sometimes not immediately, but taking those steps help you to even take more steps. So let's go on to Esther, our powerlifting champion, to share with us her courage story. So go ahead, unmute yourself and please share. Thank you.
All right, I have a whole lot of courage stories to share, but I'll share a few because of time. I became crippled when I was 8 years.
So let me stop you there. We do not ever use the term cripple. We don't use the word cripple. So you became a child with disability or you had polio at. So start again so that I can edit this one out.
Thank you. Apologies, please. So I became special at the age of 8. So when it happened to me, it wasn't an easy course to bear. because a whole lot of things. Mostly, I grew up in a very crowded environment where anything that happened will be used against you, and a whole lot of stories arises. She is caught. She won't make it, all those thoughts came out. But right inside me, there was this still small voice that was still telling me that you can do it. If you fall and you can't stand up again, crawl. If you cannot crawl, use your tummy, just drag on the floor, just make sure you are moving. And that word has kept me going till death. And secondly, I could remember when I entered school, that's secondary school. These are our society. They won't like to know your name, rather they will call you with your deformity. That's crippled girl. So it took a lot of courage for me to dry up that tears and then face my world, bear my cross. Fast forward to my powerlifting career. When I entered into sport, it wasn't easy. From my village to the training center, a whole lot of discouragement came. I was very tiny then, very, very tiny. It was like you and Iron, who's going to carry each other. So there was many kind of discouragements that were coming, but I removed the jeans and made use of the courage. And here I am today. It's not that I'm bragging, but I am using it. I wish that many of my co-warriors can listen to this and then make use of this. Encourage yourself. See yourself as who you want people, the society to see you as. It will help you go a long way. So I have a whole lot of courage stories to share, but I'm going to stop here because of time. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. I just want to ask you, in your power career, tell us a bit about the medals that you have won, so that they will not just think that maybe you are just lifting or the iron is lifting you, but you've actually won medals. Go ahead.
Okay, 2018 was my first outing, which was National Sports Festival, Abuja 2018. I won silver medal, and that qualified me to World Nigeria hosted in Lagos. I won double medal, that's 2 gold medals, because I won the overall and also broke world senior record. Then that qualified me to World Cup, which Nigeria hosted, that's Abuja 2020. That was where I made another 2 medals because I broke both senior and junior world records. And then 2021, which was supposed to be Edo 2020, I won silver medal at Edo National Sports Festival. Then 2021 ending, that was October versus November 2021. We went for a World Championship. That was in Tbilisi. Georgia. So I came back with bronze medal. And 2022, we went for regional championship. That's Cairo, Egypt, where I broke both junior, senior world record, junior African record, and I came back with overall, that's world record. Then that 2022, which was last year, November versus December, I also won another double medal, but it just completed, National Sports Festival, which was Delta 2022. I also created national record, I superseded my world record. So we call it national record because it is National Sports Festival. So presently, I am the world record holder. Thank you, ma'am.
Wow. I'm hearing something. Let's do SLI. We have to do SLI clap, please, because I did not know it was plenty like this.
I love to hear this, but yeah, you are not.
You're not just lifting the iron. You are breaking the record and breaking your record. Yeah, Osaki, let's go lift something. That's how I will break. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing. I knew, but I didn't know like this. And all of these steps you can see needed courage all the way. Courage all the way. Thank you so much for sharing your courage story, how you had a disability and how you finally were able to rise up. And even when you wanted to start your journey on as a sportswoman, the challenges and how you overcame them. This is very commendable. Thank you for sharing your courage story. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a courage story from Barivule Angela. And when we come back, we'll hear more from others. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Barivule Goni. I am a polio warrior and this is my courage story. I grew up in a charity home where there are people living with disabilities just like me. We were homeschooled, so I had no problem because I wasn't bothered about anything. We were all the same. But as time goes on and it was time for me to face the world myself, I have to leave the home, and it wasn't easy. It was difficult for me because I hate the stares I get each time I go out. The fears in children's eyes each time they see me, it has an effect on me, on my person. I was always bothered, so I was always indoors. I refused to go out. I refused to make friends. I was always indoors. It was a battle to be out there doing my thing. Nevertheless, I have to, since it was a desire to be educated, to go to the university, to work. I love to travel, I love to see places, I love to see things. And I always ask myself, how am I going to do it? Being out there wasn't easy for me. It was a battle. Each time I'm about to go out, sometimes I just end up canceling it because of the stares I get each time I step out. But nevertheless, I started going out. I started making friends. If there's a place to see, something to see, I ensure I go and see it. It wasn't easy not noticing the stares that I get. It was so discouraging. But each time I go, I have to overlook. And that was how I was able to gain admission to the university. And I went for youth service. And right now, I'm always out there.
Welcome back. So that was the courage story from Angela Barivule, and I hope it inspired somebody. So in wrapping up this episode, I would just like to share one of my courage stories, if not two. The first one is this. I acquired disability as a young adult. I was in university when I had a road traffic accident, sustained spinal cord injury, and had to start using a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Now, the courage story I want to share is with when I wanted to return back to the university to continue with my program. When I went there in the college assembly, I was told categorically no, that I couldn't come back by reason of the disability. The excuse was that they did not have the facilities to be able to cope with me in that university. That was enough to discourage me from getting a degree. And it was enough to even stop anybody because, when you hear the story, I'll tell somebody, didn't I try? At least I tried. And I actually went back after trying. I went back there with the wheelchair. I wasn't strong, but I went back to try to get my first degree. And I was told the no was very, very loud. And it was not a no that somebody told me. I was there when they said a no. And I felt very bad. But then one of the things I did was that I analyzed, strategized, and I went back. And what I did was, number one, I changed university because there was no point going back to the same university if they were going to not even be ready to work with me. Because they asked me so many questions that was not making sense. I told them, I don't have any of these things figured out. I'm just asking you, let's work together so that I can get my degree. So I changed university, I also changed course. And the courage that I had was that what I was able to do was that I was able to not just go back to school, but I was able to overcome the barriers. It was not easy. I remember times where I sat by the window to attend classes because the door was so tiny. I remember times when the class was upstairs and I would now be looking and begging people to help me go upstairs and things like that. And school was not close, it was far. But all of this needed courage because I had a goal and I needed that degree. So the courage that I took on was to go back to an environment that I was not sure I could navigate because I was intentional and I needed that degree. And by the grace of God, I went back, got degree, went back, got another one, and I went back to school and got the third one. Why? Because I needed someone to understand that courage is what will keep you going. And when you take the courage of the first step, it gives you multiple steps. So courage is a great motivator. I'm sure you've heard in Esther's story. The fact that she won one medal made her to come and now win the remaining and more to come. So overcoming and applying courage makes you and motivates you. It boosts your self-esteem and your self-confidence to do more. And by the grace of God, how many years later, at least 3 degrees and more under the belt. Why? Because I took up courage to be able to go back and tackle that first one when they said no, categorically said no. And there is a lesson in that you took on courage does not mean that people will be clapping for you. No, it does not mean. People will give you reasons why you shouldn't do the thing. There will be genuine reasons why you shouldn't do the thing. But I want you today to learn from the stories that you have heard today that courage and taking up courage must be very intentional if you want to achieve. So ladies, to wrap up this episode, I want you to just say last words, one last word around courage for your sister that may be hearing you out there, or a parent to a child of disability out there, to really give them courage. So I'll take on Esther. Go ahead.
My word of encouragement is this to all the ladies living with disability. Disability is not the end of the world. Try and acquire the arm to cope with your disability, which is courage, and you will never regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you for great sharing and great insight. Take up the arms of courage to forge ahead. Osaki, your word of encouragement, the real last word.
All right, thank you very much. My last word is don't give up, never give up. Courage is resilience. Thank you.
Awesome. Courage builds resilience, and trust me, you need to be able to stretch like a rubber band and snap back in this disability journey. You need it. And from me, I would like to say that whatever you do, that you deserve the wins that you have. If you do something and you have a win, no matter how small, celebrate it. Just know that it took a lot for you to achieve it. But whatever you do, don't stay stuck on the wins. There is more to you. Take up courage and keep winning, keep doing. Receive strength to do more because there is a lot of potential in you. So this has been Bold TV, brought to you by Bold Heart Initiative, a program that comes to you every Saturday by 10:30 a.m. And we have been looking at courage. We have had amazing story sharing sessions on courage by women with disabilities, and we have had ourselves have a great conversation around courage. And I know that somebody has been encouraged. If you want to see this episode and many other episodes from our past, you can go to our YouTube channel, and that is www.youtube.com/@boldtv_boldheart. You can also go to our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/boldheartnetwork. And for those who want to join Bold Heart, you can reach out to any of the co-hosts and we'll tell you how. If you want to be a guest on this program, whether you are a woman with disability or a woman who wants to share her expert opinion, you can reach out to us on our email or our inbox. Our email is boldheartnetwork.info@gmail.com. My name is Frankie Andreasian. I'm based in Port Harcourt. I am a woman, identify as a woman with disability. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. I'm a member of Bold Hearts Initiative at the ED of Faker Foundation, a public health professional, among other things. And it has been Bold TV. So to come your way next time, ladies, please unmute yourself and tell our audience bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 This is Bold TV.